nothing to do with the film. It was just in an aerial sequence. I can guarantee you've all seen that film. Any idea what it was? Twister. The film Twister. One of the aerial sequences. Easy to find. They're all at Big Mama's house, having the big steaks. Comes through. Twister's on the way. They all start rushing through the town, down the road. If you watch, they're going past a rape field. And in that rape field, there is a circle. About 20 feet across. Alright? I don't know what damn state it was in.
That's a disgraceful statement.
Will you not hit the lights?
Okay. That's what Chris said.
Okay.
Are we in record?
This is recording. Don't know about that one.
Need another seat?
That's recording. I'll get it. It's right. Sorry, can you? Yeah, I know. It's in there.
Keep that camera on this and do this.
Okay.
This is Gary Campbell. Ladies and gentlemen, come on. Gary Campbell was insured, and you see all my bad points during the past 8 years. He was that naive and see how he was.
Yeah. Swedish. Oh, Dutch.
You could be a circle maker too now. We'll try and auction it.
Okay, I have a question for Matthew. You shared with us beautiful stories and things you experienced, and I was curious, did you see a crop circle that was not made by you, but by light bulb or whatever, little man or big man?
I can't say that I know of any circle that because I would have to know it had been made by an alien. I'd have to, see the alien making it. There would have to be some kind of level of that going on. There have certainly been plenty of circles we were aware of not known the author. Every year there's always a couple of circles that appear. We don't find out who's made them at all. So it could just be people coming into the area, this is my estimation, people coming in, having a go, and then never making it publicly known who they are. As I was saying in my talk, I would imagine that because the original phenomena was just simple circles, going back to the historical records, they weren't patterns and designs, they were described as kind of like shapes and things. I think that could be the original phenomena, if there is such a thing as the original phenomena. And the stuff that gets more complicated, the more complicated it is, the more it's going to be done by people. So, you really are going to be going back to wind damage, simple circles, if you're looking for something that could be original phenomena. Now, do aliens make some of these circles where I don't know the authors, If they do, they seem to be using the same techniques as humans because they leave behind telltale marks, one of which is usually the board width, which just happens to be about 1 meter in many cases wide. It doesn't have to be, but a foot is a usual good indicator because people have usually got fairly similar sized feet. And when you draw the lines, which are like these lines on the floor, when you make these lines marks in to sort of start your circle, if you're holding a tape and you're moving around, you're crabbing sideways, you're walking sideways, and you're using the full width of your foot to make that mark around. If you walk forwards, because both feet don't line up with each other, they'll sort of go left, right, right? So you'll get a cookie cutter. So when you crab sideways, it just tends to be that same foot width going around. If you look for that, you'll spot it in the circle, and then afterwards it'll be filled in with boards. So it'll then become 1 meter wide, so it goes from being 1 foot to 1 meter. And if you look for that, it's called combing, and you can spot it, you know, in many circles. It looks like somebody's had a load of grease or wax and they put a comb through their hair or their fingers through their hair, and you get these marks, these little lines. Measure them, they'll be about 1 meter wide. They're usually there in most circles, not in all, but a lot. And you know, you see underlying pathways. If people are correct, and I don't think they are, about these stories of circles just going bing, and just, there's a circle. You get these stories come along, and you know, I've made those circles in some cases, and my friends have, and you get the stories come out, you know, that these things just appear.
Avast virus database has been updated.
It's not a virus program I would use. Yeah.
That was it. Thank you.
Thanks. So, yeah, I think that just to finish up was where I was at. You'll notice the marks, but also you'll notice underlying pathways which then get flattened. And when you come up on an aircraft, you can see these marks in underneath. My question would then be, why would the aliens need to use these techniques of putting the lines in first and then flattening on top? Why would they need to do it? Because if it was all done like people say, click, the whole thing would just go down in one go and there would be no pencil lines, as it were, underneath. So, thanks.
Thank you.
Hello, my question is to Kerry. I've heard about a pantheon of 13 people called the Council of Druids. Have you any more information on those?
I've heard a little bit about them. I'm not sure. I don't think I have any specific information. I think I met one druid. I can't remember under what circumstances it was, but who, you know, a person who believes himself to be a druid, in other words. But as far as the rest of it, you know, I mean, are you talking about the group that is just, they were like featured on a television special recently?
More on the lines of the Illuminati. I know that one is referred, I think it's the 13th member is referred to as the penis of the dragon, and it is the whole 13 of them are the dragon.
Interesting. No, I haven't heard that reference.
Thank you.
My question is for Kerry as well. Do you have any idea what happened with the MH370 flight?
Well, I have a lot of information on my website. I wrote several articles about it containing a lot of the links to research, and very good research and very good articles. It seems that story isn't completely closed yet, but I can tell you that the information I gave you about Flight 17 involves some information that pertained to Flight 370 from Simon just earlier today. I can also say that David Hawkins and his partner, whose last name is McConnell, and Field McConnell, who is an ex-airline pilot, had talked about, you know, the Boeing autopilot, you know, redirect that then redirected the Flight 370 to Diego Garcia. There's substantial information out there that it was redirected. Simon said a piece of information that I don't think has ever gone out there about that flight. He said there was a group of bioterrorism scientists on that flight, as well as the ones who were working for, I think it was called Freescale Technology, which was a very well-known story that was put out there. And that was substantiated by Mike Harris, among other things. And someone called him and told him to shut up, someone from presumably the CIA, because he had a background with a relationship with Motorola, and Freescale Technology was a division of Motorola originally that then broke off and was bought. Certainly the link up where, you know, the death of those particular scientists who then held the patent, and the fact that the patent then went to a Rothschild is certainly an interesting twist. But it was also that this particular chip is supposed to be a master chip that is able to affect, it sounded like a sort of a, what is a Skynet chip that Pete Peterson was involved in as well at a certain point, and I have to be careful in how much I say about that. But there's a relationship there, or a link back there. But it seemed that the Flight 370 is still open. We still don't know the whole story, although according to what I just heard from Simon, if his information is correct, and he seems to be, you know, crystal clear and sure of his information, so for what it's worth, he certainly believes it, which said that that Flight 17 did contain this, you know, virus that was then supposed to hit a Russian city and be dispersed, that being stopped. But there were dead bodies on board that plane that came from Flight 370, and that had been on ice, so to speak, since that plane disappeared, which it flew again to Diego Garcia, so we at least know it hit the ground there. There was filming, there was enough information there that came out of different witnesses to substantiate that part of the trajectory. And there were scientists also were involved in stealth technology on the flight that disappeared, using some form of stealth technology. So, you know, that all of that goes on. Jim Stone did a great deal of research in that area. Gordon Duff has released some information in that regard as well. Those are both sources that I would encourage you to look into further, to look at their stories. Now, Gordon Duff thinks that Jim Stone is being financed by the Mossad. That's the latest I've gotten. I don't know that that's true. I know that Jim Stone is an ex-NSA agent that is on the run in Mexico, and that tries very hard to get the truth out and puts out a lot of good information. I can't say whether he said that some of the people that would basically be disappeared would be put out on in third world countries, that, you know, the other passengers of Flight 370, that would then be, you know, their minds would be wiped, that they would then spend the rest of their lives rummaging through garbage cans and not know who they were, and that periodically their handlers would keep shooting them up. This is one of the things he said was going to be done with those people. Now, obviously, some of them made it into body bags, so they seem to have killed some of them, because they seem to have hit the ground on Flight 17. Now, he did say that the Flight 17 was sent by the Mossad, which is an element that I forgot to say just a few minutes ago. So that he said this was an action. So then we got into a whole discussion about who's running Israel. And the bottom line of it's not the Israeli people that are your enemy in the end. They're being used as pawns in this game. It is the Anunnaki who are running Israel behind the scenes. And he did agree with me on that, which was good to get some substantiation on that from somebody on his level, meaning Simon Parkes. I've gone down that rabbit hole quite a ways talking about that, and that's something I didn't have time to get into in my presentation.
Thank you.